ClickUp review. Is it better than Monday.com for project management? Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I will be doing a quick rundown of all the features of ClickUp, what you can get, and whether or not it stacks up as a good comparison to Monday.com and which one you should be using. So let's get into it. Now, one thing a lot of people always have in mind is that what's the basic difference? Whatever tool I use, I feel like it's the same. Well, there are some key differences, especially if you're basing the differences based on your use case. So for a lot of people, a lot of the times they're not going to notice the differences unless they are properly using their project management tools. And for that case, let's take a look at the free plan features. So on ClickUp, you have unlimited tasks and unlimited members that you can add to any workspace. You also have Kanban view boards that you can add for free, real-time charts, sprint management, calendar views, and more. Now, one thing about Monday.com is that you can do a lot of things on Monday.com. I can create a Kanban view. However, when you're looking to create a Gantt chart, as you guys can see over here, this is a paid feature, which I find to be pretty disappointing considering you're gonna get that for free on ClickUp. However, their basic plan has the basic features such as creating tasks, creating workspaces, and, setting basic dependencies and more. However, I do feel like ClickUp is more value because you are getting a lot more for a lot cheaper. On their paid plans, I don't find there to be a large difference, especially considering, how the pricing is pretty similar on both of these. However, I still would recommend going for the business plan on ClickUp because it is cheaper than the Monday.com Pro plan. However, the standard plan on Monday is pretty sufficient as well. Now, let's get into more detail about what exactly ClickUp entails, and let's understand the hierarchy of ClickUp. So if you go into ClickUp and you create a workspace like I have over here, this is a simple workspace. Within your workspace, you can build folders to categorize your boards. So folders can just be empty spaces where you can put in boards, and boards are what actually hold all of your items. So as you guys can see over here, we have this particular board or space, and within this space we have a folder, and within your space folder, and then within that folder you can create a board. So those are the basic categorizations on ClickUp. Workspaces are non-transferable, so that means that if there is data, so if I have Buzz Market over here, I can't take this task and send it to another workspace. I can send it to another space present within this particular workspace, but I cannot send it to another workspace. Now, if we take a look at a simpler view, just so it's easier for you guys to follow along, as you guys can see over here, on ClickUp, you can categorize items based on their status, assignees, priorities, tags, due dates, and you can even build your own custom fields. So if you add a custom field of maybe seniority in your business, then you can always categorize your items by that. Now, if you take a look at the grouping, I have grouped them by status, which is usually the default grouping that is added. Within each task, you can add a lot of detail, including descriptions, details, files, attachments, as well as custom fields. So you can build your own field that is related to a particular task. And you can even build it whether or not if it's required in tasks or if it's an optional field. And you can choose whether or not it should be visible to guests. Now, next up on ClickUp, you have different segregations for your task subtasks. So you have subtasks you can create as well as action items. So action items can be checklists where people can, accomplish the goal, and subtasks are usually the goals that you're supposed to accomplish. Then on the top right, you have your task settings where you have templates, relationships, so whether or not this task is related to another task, if it has any documents that are linked to it, if there are any dependencies, so priorities or a timeline that a task is on. Now, if I want to show you guys dependencies, I'll take another task over here, and let's say after my email marketing task, I have to, within the same section, let's say this is an accepted idea, and I have my second task, which might be to send follow-up emails like this, and then I'm gonna add a potential idea over here, Facebook ads like this. Now I'll just show you guys these in our list view. Now this is our list view over here. You can always add more column-wise information by clicking on the plus icon over here. From here, you can add multiple different types of information boxes. So you have a text box, a drop-down box. Let's say I want a drop-down box and I want this to be urgency. And this is going to be a drop-down, and I have multiple different option names. So I'm going to add urgent or non-urgent. And I'm going to move non-urgent as the first option, and this might be ASAP. And then I can add colors to my particular items as well, like this. And once I've done that, I can click on add column. Now I can choose the urgency of a particular item as well. You can add multiple different column fields to illustrate your data further and to be able to better understand your data. Now, obviously you have your priority column, which is already pretty much your urgency column. However, this is just an example that can better help you create your own custom fields. Now, if I was to add a dependency, so what I would do is I would click on my email marketing section, and I can click on my options over here on the top right and click on dependencies. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on relationships and then click on dependencies. Now, tasks that must be completed before this task, or blocking, that there are two types of dependencies. So whether or not this task needs to happen after a particular task or it needs to happen before another particular task. So this is blocking, and this needs to happen before the send up the follow-up emails. So just like that, I have a dependency now set up, and you will be able to see your dependencies like this in the form of these two icons. So you have this like warning icon and this blocking dependency and waiting on dependency icon, and you can build these in a larger hierarchy as well on ClickUp, which are features that you're not going to find on Monday. Although Monday is pretty customizable, sometimes because it is so customizable, you might get lost in the info that it is presenting to you. Now, if we go back into ClickUp, we can also add automations by clicking on automations on the top right. From there, you're going to be able to see any of your active automations, and then you can click on add automation on the top right. So you can choose to get started with your automations from over here. So when this happens on a task, so whenever a task, let's say whenever a task is created, I want to be notified maybe, or let's say I want to add to list or move task, set custom field, or I can add a different option as well. Let's say I want to change watchers, and I want to add myself as a watcher like this, so I can be able to see, all the progress present within the task. And you can add multiple different if-then items as well, and just like that, you can add automations. There are some pre-existing automations on ClickUp, so you can go into the browse section, and you can see on the left side you have multiple different categories, and you can search for the type of automation that you're looking for based on categories. So let's say I want to look for something that is based on statuses. I'm going to click on statuses and then click on show more over here to be able to see all of the different status type automations. So let's say whenever a status changes, then change assignee, or whenever a status changes, then archive the task, then apply this template, and you have a lot of other different options as well. Overall, ClickUp is packed with features that can help you in elevating your workflow and to be able to accomplish your goals very quickly. And I definitely do think both ClickUp and Monday are amazing tools. However, ClickUp does take the lead in terms of being able to be user-friendly and having a UI that is super easy to use and effective in terms of workflow management. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.